All right, guys. Oh, there you are. What's happening? I'd like to talk about using your iPad on gigs and how essential that is these days and how much easier it makes things. Um, Now, you guys make little cheat sheets, something like this. I mean, don't pay attention to the squiggly lines. My daughter drew on this, but this is a little chart I made for a gig. Um, and this is actually trash because the chart is now in here. So what you can do is you could make your own charts. I mean, this one here is a PDF that was sent to me, and I was able to put it in here. The program is called Fourscore, and it looks like this. See that F there? Fourscore. Okay, and right below that, on the last line with Dropbox and the United app, you'll see Scanner Pro. I use Scanner Pro to take photographs of the charts and the ones that I write by hand, my cheat sheets, and then I can put them in with all the rest of the music that's in here. You could make set lists on Fourscore. You can have tempo markings. You can have click. And best of all, you don't have to have folders upon folders of music for the bands that you play with. You know, whether that music is just like a little cheat sheet that has a tempo marking and a feel, or if it's a detailed chart. For example, let's see, we got Michael Bublé, Impulse, everything. Let's see. I'll show you an example of some of my handwritten charts if I can find them. Like, for example, this is a good one because there's nothing on it, but there's just enough info for me to get through the tune. Blurred lines, and I must have written this years ago before I knew this tune, and now everybody knows it. Tempo marking. It might look backwards to you because I'm using the camera on my laptop here. And then we've got other charts like this. This and PDF sent to me, Black Cow, Steely Dan. So you can upload everything that you need, and then you can back it up to your computer. So you have this stuff forever. You back it up to your computer, and you back it up to your cloud or your online server, whatever you got going on. So I highly recommend this. It's called Fourscore, F-O-R score. And it's kind of invaluable if you do a lot of different kinds of gigs and you don't want to have to sit there memorizing music. You bring this, put it on a stand, gives you the info you need, you nail it, and you move on. So, yeah, guys, just a little bit of practical professional advice for your gigs. And if you don't have an iPad, they're useful for other things too. So, and they're cheap these days. Anyway, I hope that's useful information. Before we get into five-stroke rolls, I'd like to discuss transitioning from the pad to the drum set. I find that with many students, this is actually an issue. So what I suggest doing from the get-go, if you have the means of practicing on a drum set and you're working on your rudiments, please get on that drum set and work on those rudiments. Do not start with them on the pad. This whole idea of starting on the pad at your drum lessons is nonsense. We play the drums. We do not play the pad. The pad should not be used when there's a drum kit available. The pad is a tool that we use when a drum kit is not available. The pad is not an instrument. Okay, it's just a means of us working on our muscle memory when we cannot play the drums. So, and I'm saying this because what I find is that I'll have students come in and they'll have technical mastery of rudiments on the drum pad, but that gets you nowhere because they'll get on the drum set and they don't know how to transition from the pad to the drum set. And this could be a problem because then you are not playing music. Any case, onto the 5-stroke rolls. Play the drums, not the pad. So 5-stroke rolls around the kit, or just orchestrated, not necessarily around, but orchestrated on the drums. One of the easiest ways to start incorporating this rudiment into your playing is to just use it on the hi-hat in a groove. So I'm assuming we're all familiar with the 5-stroke roll. It's one of the basic rudiments. Starting with the right hand, right, right, left, left, right. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and with the left hand starting with the left hand. Okay, so you can begin by just playing it on the hi-hat as an embellishment. Okay, same thing if you're playing on the ride, you can put your left hand on the hi-hat. Now you can substitute your feet for your hands, you know, in certain parts. Like, for example, instead of playing the last note in the right hand, play with the foot. Stuff like that, you know, experiment. You can also transfer it around the drums. I like to use it as a pickup to a lot of my fills, you know. Or a pickup into a crash cymbal. So, very Gad-like. So those are all 5-stroke rolls. So you guys should post some videos of the kind of ideas you come up with using 5 strokes. I'd love to check them out, and I'm sure the other Patreons would love to check them out. I often get asked about ghost notes and how I'm able to vary the dynamic between the ghost notes and the backbeat. I feel like that really contributes to the flow of the groove, and sometimes it contributes to some of the dirt, if you know what I mean, of the groove. You know, it depends on how accurate you feel like playing your ghost notes. Sometimes they could be just slop, you know what I mean, and it can have this swampy feel. Other times it can be super accurate and have this, like, you know, Steve Gadd type thing. And other times it could be like a James Brown type thing, like a Clyde Stubblefield groove, you know. In any case, how I develop my ghost notes, besides playing sticking patterns, because sometimes I'll be playing a sticking pattern, you know, or a paradiddle, but I don't stick to one for too long, you know, unless whomever I'm working with or the drum part in the particular song requires a loop vibe. If it doesn't require a loop vibe, I vary it, you know. And I'm very inspired by old blues drummers and cats like you know, Steve Jordan, who will have this consistent groove, yet the part will have lots of inconsistencies. And to me, that's what makes it funky, you know. In any case, what I like to do is combine sticking patterns with improvisations. I don't like sticking to one pattern for too long in my hands, but the vibe will be the same. It will have this consistency of feel and groove to it, but the actual technical part of it is not always the same. You know, I like to change it up. So I will go from sticking patterns to just natural sticking. Natural sticking, for those who don't know, is just right-left. So if you're playing an 8th note groove and you want 16th note feel underlying that, just natural sticking works. And then you have to double up in your left hand to play the backbeat, or triple, you know, play 3 beats in a row. Or you want to maybe hit a rim shot. So I like combining that kind of stuff with sticking patterns, like an inverted paradiddle. You know, varying it up. But one of the main exercises that I've worked on that really helps with the left hand and the dynamics and the accuracy is just playing straight up 16th notes over an 8th note groove in the left hand. 16th note ghost notes, like this. If you play that, if you practice that every day for a little while, you're going to find that suddenly your left hand's got all this motion to it, you know, without you even thinking about it. You're just going to start adding it in. And I actually reached a point where I was so into playing those underlying parts, you know, that maybe covered a shaker or covered this and that live, that when I was in the studio, certain producers had to say, hey man, you know, lay off those ghost notes a little bit, because we have a guitar strumming that rhythm, or we're going to have a shaker, or we have, you know, so a lot of times for sessions it would have to be instead of, that's more of what I would play live. And again, it depends on what's going on, but live, that's usually accepted and liked by artists and producers and MDs and other musicians in the band, because it tends to fatten up the groove. But sometimes in the studio, they might not want that. It depends on the instrumentation and who else is, you know, what other instruments will be playing 16th notes. You know, you don't want an overwhelming amount of teka, 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 you know, because then you might have accuracy issues. Everyone's got a different feel anyway. That's where Pro Tools kicks in the modern day, right? Anyway, so, again. Vary the tempo, you know, maybe slow it down a little to get different kind of feel.
work on that and let me know how it goes, and then start adding in sticking patterns, you know. And then what'll end up happening is you'll be playing your rock and funk and pop grooves, and these little things will creep in. Like for me, what I noticed right away is my little rough or drag, whatever you want to call it, was sneaking in, even to my basic grooves. You know, and definitely develop some of this swaying, natural sticking thing that I've got going on, and that, you know, I've seen, you know, Jim Keltner, Sean Pelton, Jay Belrose, all these great drummers do this sort of thing. And that's just right, left, right, left. And then when you're playing the backbeat, you're going to have to play 3 in a row. You know, and then vary the kick drum patterns, you know, make it funky.